evening and welcome to the May 3rd meeting of the Glenville Town Board. Please rise for the invocation of the allegiance. Join me in prayer. Dear Lord, we are meeting today to conduct matters of public business. Guide our hearts and our minds in the spirit of fairness, right thought, and speech. Impart your great wisdom upon our activities so that our affairs may reach a successful conclusion. And we thank you for being the source of our guidance tonight. Amen. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the roll.
Councilman Martin?
Here.
Councilman Pivoani?
Here.
Councilman Thomas?
Here.
Councilwoman Rosbowski? Here. Supervisor Capson?
Here. Thank you all for coming tonight. We do have the agendas that are up front. If you don't have one, we do have one add-on tonight, which would be a resolution calling for a public hearing regarding the potential for a PUD or PDD at 209 to 211 Sacandaga Road, owned by Blackbird One LLC. And that would be a public hearing to hear any potential change to a planned use development zoning. And so that will come on after item 10 and before item 11. And with that, we'll start with the town council reports. I'll start on my left with Councilman Henry.
Yes, Mr. Supervisor. On April 11th, we had the various volunteer and service organizations in the town of Glenville met, and we presented to them a number of different opportunities for them to support the town parks. So be it Indian Meadows, Malick, as well as the Anderson Dog Park. And the groups were eager to hear some of the projects that we're looking at doing. And I'd also encourage any other community groups that would like to participate in projects to support our parks to come forward. And secondly, the all-volunteer committee has been continued to meet, and they are working toward hosting the 8th annual Glenville Oktoberfest on Saturday, September 30th at Malick Park.
Very good. Thank you. Councilwoman Rosbowski.
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, I have a couple of items to report out. Right now, I would like to report that we are in the middle of our bulk pickup still. And we will have items at the curb that are not with pickup. Please check the town's website, www.townofglenville.org, for the list of approved items. You can also see where they have been, where they will be going. They are going to be one pass throughout the town this year. And last week, I had the pleasure of attending the town chiefs meeting for the Glenville Town Chiefs Association. And I believe they had Recruit New York, 3 different departments in the town had Recruit New York last weekend, and Scotia Fire Department is having a recruitment drive and open house on May 6th from 10 to 4. So I'm interested to hear next month if they need any new members or applications from that drive.
Thank you. And on the bulk pickup, let the word go forth that this is the first year that 2 tickets have actually been issued for scavenging, because we gave a 2-year grace period of education, and there were certain instances where there was public safety at risk, where people were stopping on Maple and some other busy roads and just causing traffic backup. And so since the tickets have been issued, there's been a noticeable decrease in scavenging, so I think the word got out pretty quickly after that. So we're making progress there. Councilman Martin.
No report tonight.
Councilman Pivoani.
No report.
Okay, so we'll move to item number 5, which is a public hearing to hear all those interested in being heard regarding a proposed zoning map amendment for an application by TJ Development of Glenville, LLC, to change the zoning of a .62 acre of land that includes a portion of 303 Saratoga Road and all of 3 Sheffield Road from community business and suburban residential to general business. So this is the parcel commonly referred to right now as the Aldi's site, and this would include the front piece that used to be Glenville tile, going down Sheffield to the house at 3 Sheffield, including 3 Sheffield. So we'll open that public hearing. Does anyone wish to be heard on that matter? Yes, ma'am. You'll have to come to the podium and just state your name and address for the record and address the board.
Hi, my name is Jessica Bullitt, and I live at 7 Sheffield, so I'm at the house right next door to 3. And I have quite a few concerns about this. We already have traffic issues on our street, people speeding up and down the road. There are many children on our street, so I contacted the town back in 2014 requesting a children at play sign, and that was turned down. I'm concerned about this turning into a commercial lot just because now I'll be the first house off of Route 50. It's going to affect my property values that I've been putting money into my house. It's going to be a noise issue, we're going to have more litter on our street. I'm already picking up after people just driving into St. Stephen's and throwing their litter out, and it's going to be a nuisance. I heard that it might be a fast food restaurant. Smell is a concern. I'm just really worried about my property value after all this. And I'd like to hear some information about what's going on and if it's too late, if it's a done deal.
No, it's not too late. The public hearing is really the first step. There has been a proposal presented to the planning department here at the town. You're always welcome to come in and ask to see that.
Okay.
It's really known as the Aldi's redevelopment, so the Aldi's piece is actually zoned fine. And then it's the next piece that they want as part of that. So you can talk, Kevin Corcoran is here tonight, he's a town planner, he can help you with anything anything's been submitted to the town you can look at.
Okay.
But, and I would also follow the planning board, their agendas, because they'll be reviewing this proposal, and you'll get a lot of information by attending those meetings.
Okay, thank you. And it's just because now we'll be surrounded by commercial property, both behind me, which, that's fine. I moved into the house knowing there was a commercial property behind us. That's not an issue. And all these are 24 hours, but now with something going right next door, next to my driveway, that's a bit of a concern.
I understand.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to be heard on this matter? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Deborah K. Brown. My husband and I live at 2 Bigwood, which is directly behind Jessica, and directly behind the Aldi side, I guess is what you refer to it as. I agree with what Jessica has said, and in addition, my concern with the fast food and changing it to a general business is not only the smell, but the garbage and what kind of animals and things like that it could bring to residential homes. And in addition to that, Sheffield Road is residential on both sides and always has been, and I think it should stay that way, as residential. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to be heard on this matter? Going once, going twice. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. So this matter, the next step for this then, just for the folks in the audience that are interested, Kevin, would be what after this public hearing?
It'd be your decision on the seeker determination here, and then the zoning change itself.
Okay. So potentially the zoning change could be on for the 17th. So just be aware of that. The board can take action on the 17th.
Okay.
Okay. Yes.
Could I make a request that the board member be provided a site plan, Kevin? We get a copy of that for the applicant, the latest site plan?
Okay. Copy that then. No, okay.
No, I don't have one, because I'd like to see that. And you can share with them, I'm going to be particularly interested in seeing the buffer area of the site as it adjoins the residential properties. And I'm going to be interested in seeing the landscaping plan, the screening plan for that buffer area. And I'm looking for burning, landscape, trees, and fencing.
Are we talking about the Aldi's proposal?
No, he's talking Sheffield.
Right, there is no formal site plan for that
Well, I know that, and what I'm suggesting as a condition for rezoning, we're gonna consider this rezone. I wanna see this stuff up front and not, I wanna know what it's gonna look like, I wanna know the planting pattern, I wanna know what the trees are gonna consist of, shapes, sizes, species of trees. I wanna see the whole McGillet here before I'm gonna consider this rezoning. So I'm particularly interested in that buffer area as this site adjoins these residential properties.
All right, thank you. We've closed the public hearing, so we'll move on to item number 6, which is the MS4 annual report from the Commissioner of Public Works, Tom Capola.
Good evening, everybody. MS4 report. Give you a quick overview of MS4. MS4 is municipal stormwater. The towns have been mandated to do this through the state of New York. It's an unfunded mandate, and it's a very cumbersome challenge for the municipalities. It just grows and grows and grows. I'll go over a quick overview of what it is. It controls all the stormwater, meaning your ditches, your basins, anything that flows to the rivers, outfalls from creeks, parking lots, roadways, sweeping. I'll go over a few details in a second. Just to give you an overview of what that encompasses. We have 1,550 catch basins in the town, and they all have to be serviced at least 1/3 per year, and it's almost an impossible task to do. So I'll go over a quick overview. This year, we actually added 24 new basins into our stormwater. We approximately 2,000 feet of drainage pipe. We've swept roughly 375 miles of road using 452 man-hours and 618 yards of debris off the roads in the town of Leadville this year. We've had 2 violations that we had to deal with over this, and we had 14 investigations that amounted to nothing. They were sought through, the investigations were done, which is good for community input. If you do see something that doesn't look right, people dumping oil into basins or somebody who's polluting the waterways, you call the town immediately, we'll send up, myself will go out and actually investigate it to see what it is. And at that point, if it's something that is seen to be a violation, we'll direct the DEC with it, we'll handle it that way. The outlook for this year is adding more pipe. We'll probably add about another 2,000 feet of additional drainage into the town. Ditching work to be done in the Glenville Hills will be completed this year. It's roughly about 12 miles. And outfalls will be mapped this year. We did get a small portion of a grant, about $11,200 for our stormwater mapping, which was done through round 13 this year from DEC. So we did receive a portion of that. It was an $82,000 grant, and it was split between the municipalities. So it gives us the opportunity to bring somebody in and give them the ability to go out and map these for us. So it's very helpful. This past year, we also started really heavily concentrating on drainage again, as we have in the last 4 years. So if you see us in your neighborhoods, and we're looking in basins and digging up roadways, we're working on drainage. If anybody's got any questions, feel free to call town and ask any questions that you'd like to know about. This report, a full report, is available for review right now in the planning office and in the engineering office. You can call the town at the 688-1200 number through the prompts if you'd like to review this. And it will also be a final report sent to DEC June 1st. So it will be available for review there too. The public comment period can be looked at, and if anybody has any questions, like I said, you can call the town and we'll answer any questions you have.
Any questions?
Any questions?
Thank you, Tom.
You're welcome.
Privilege of the floor is the next item on the agenda. We have one person signed up, Jessica, but I think you spoke. You're free to speak again if you like. Okay. Anyone else wish to speak at privilege of the floor? Going once, going twice, seeing none. Close, not closed. And we'll move to supervisor's comments to the board. Few comments. On the financial side, We have just a few things to report, and then talk a little bit about the opportunity I had to attend the countywide Shared Services Initiative forum that the state put on. Anyone remember Bob Barker? I feel like Bob Barker from, he had that big skinny, is this thing getting bigger or something? I have to stand back here to talk. You could hear me. You could hear me. I'm having a microphone malfunction. The first half of our mortgage tax for the year has ended on March 31st, and with the 6-month revenues of $279,000, we're about $12,000 ahead of where we were last year. Our budget revenue for all of 2017 is $533,000, so we're still slightly on track to be just slightly ahead of that figure, so that's some good news on mortgage tax. We recently received our first quarter sales tax check from Metroplex, and I'm pleased to report it was one of the largest that we've had first quarter checks in the last 4 years. This is good news since our 2016 sales tax revenue from Metroplex actually ended lower than that we received in 2015 and 2014. So hopefully the gains made in 2017 will continue through the rest of the year and will rebound from our 2016 low. We've recently taken delivery on a few pieces of equipment that were approved by this town board. In March, we took delivery on a 60-inch commercial lawnmower for use in our town parks. Last week, both the new Public Works backhoe and Parks Department utility task vehicle, the UTV, were purchased and are already in service. Here at Town Hall, we finalized all the prep work required by National Grid to finally, John will be happy with this, hook up the new natural gas generator for the police department. I think we've been talking about that for about 6 years. We expect the generator to be on site and operational by the end of the month. So let's hope for a big storm and see if it works. And lastly, as far as finance is concerned, with 9 months of the 2018 tax cap finished, next year's tax cap would be about 1.82%, and that's a bit of a rebound from past years as well.
1.82%?
1.82.
Wow.
Cap has been trending upward in recent months, and we expect the final number actually to be at the 2%, potentially. In other news, the CFA has been opened, and working with Kevin and some others, we're looking at opportunities for what our CFA grants might want to be. The perennial that we always go to is the bike path along the Mohawk, a complete rebuild there. That seems like a natural to me. We've gotten close, so we think with a few tweaks, we might be able to be successful in that one.
That particular program too has gone from a 50% match to a 75% state grant match.
Right, so it would be a good year to get it. And of course, the Yates Mansion is high on our list for some sort of CFA, so we're working hard to getting a grant for an architect and a historic assessment on it so we can have more information put together for a potential CFA. So that's not the extent of our list, but those are the two biggies. There's some others that we'll be looking at, so if you have any other thoughts, please share with us. Kevin and I had an opportunity with Mike Burns to meet with the folks running the grant for Freeman's Bridge Road, and we had a little kickoff meeting to organize that, so that project's going forward. That'll be the study grant for the Complete Streets concept, upper Freeman's Bridge Road. And this week, I believe it's this week, we have another meeting with them just to get the kind of project scope agreed upon before the committee meets. And we'll be meeting with that committee and moving forward with that project. So that's exciting for the road redevelopment. I did have an opportunity, as I said, to go down to Albany and sit through the shared service panel workshop that was put on by one of the agencies. I think it was DOS. Department of State. There's a lot of branding about state of opportunity, but it doesn't say who did it. But anyway, the plan is going to be fairly rolled out fairly quickly. The time frame is pretty quick. So why don't just to go over what they went over with. I know you guys already know the plan probably and what's going to happen, but Essentially, this was passed in the 2018 state budget, including a new initiative designed to generate property tax savings by facilitating operational collaboration between local governments. So this means the county, of course, the town, the villages, every municipality within the county would take part in this countywide shared service property tax savings plan. That's what they call it. And so what this does is this really sets up a panel of folks to work with the county. The CEO of the county, which is identified as either the executive, the manager, the administrator, or the chief executive, or where none exists, the chair of the county legislative body, so in our case it's the county manager, is considered the CEO for the purpose of this plan of the county. Kathy Rooney will have the responsibility to create, develop, and submit the plan, almost exclusively, which will be worked on, and I'll go through a little bit of it, but Kathy Rooney, county manager, is known as the CEO as far as this plan is concerned. The required panel that she will put together is the mayor of every city and village, the supervisors of every town within the county. So they consider us to be the chief elected in those municipalities, and so this panel will have the two mayors, the 3 or 5 supervisors, and the county manager will be on the panel. The county manager, as the CEO, can invite members of the school district within the county to join the panel if she wishes, and that's her sole invitation. She can do that if she likes. So the CEO is supposed to call the panel together immediately, it says, and we're supposed to meet and kind of come up with this as a governing body, come up with this idea of how we're going to start sharing services more in the county. By August 1st, the CEO must consult with and take recommendations from each collective bargaining unit within each of the municipalities, in the county, and the cities, the towns, the villages, and anybody who's been invited as a panel member. So by August 1st, she is supposed to have consulted with all these different groups. And then submit to the legislative body her idea for consolidation or shared services. At that point, the legislative body can issue an advisory report. They don't get to vote yes or no on it. They can only issue an advisory report if they wish, and that report would be their recommendations for either looking at other ideas or rejecting ideas, but it's only advisory. Now, in the county of Schenectady, the manager happens to work for the legislature. So I'm not sure how advisory that's going to be at the end of the day. It's not like an elected county executive who doesn't answer to the legislative body. In this county, she does. So that advisory report will, she can either modify the plan based off that advisory report or not modify the plan. In the end, it's going to come back to this panel of chief electeds. That's where the vote will be to enact this plan or not enact this plan. So I, Joe Landry, Steve Thompson, Chris Casper, Mayor McCarthy, who am I missing? Dwaynesburg and Princetown supervisors will each have a vote. I don't believe it's a weighted vote from what I could tell. We asked that question, they weren't quite sure. So it's all going to be one person, one vote. If the chief elected on that panel feels that the idea going forward is detrimental to their municipality, they can pull that out of the plan. So each of those people on that panel have the right to pull something out. If you do that, you also now are out of the shared savings. So there's a little bit of a penalty for that, but so you have to really have a good reason as to why you want to pull it out if you want to pull it out. But everything has to be done in writing. The vote is a written vote explaining why you're voting yes or no, which is interesting. And if you pull your municipality out of it, you have to provide a written reason why you were doing so. Yeah, it's very interesting. And so if it passes, the CEO then of the county is responsible for finalizing the plan. If it doesn't pass, then we have to do this all over again in 2018. But we have to show a clear savings to the taxpayer, whatever the idea is. Interestingly, it doesn't go to a public presentation until after the vote. So no later than October 15th, the CEO must have public notice of public presentation providing at least 1 week prior to the manner prescribed for a public officer's law. So the CEO must conduct a public presentation of the plan. Although, I'm sorry, I think there is a provision for public hearings prior to the vote. And I probably, there is. The CEO shall arrange no later than September 15 for 3 or more public hearings to occur within the county. So after the advisory plan is given to her, and after she makes a determination of what's in the final plan, then there has to be 3 public hearings of this panel in the county. And then go for a vote after that. But then it gets a public presentation by October 15th if it passes. So that's kind of where we are with that. I haven't heard from the county yet at all as to when they're going to get the panel together, but time is ticking. There's a lot of work to do in a very short period of time. We have our ideas, so start thinking about your ideas, some of the ideas that we've presented in the past, and I'm hoping the panel will look at is allowing municipalities to buy into the county health plan. Right now, we're prohibited by state law to all come together and buy the county's plan, which would be presumably more affordable because we're such a small group. That's one idea that we want to talk about. There's a variety of others, perhaps shared purchasing. Might have some savings if we purchase jointly, or maybe our aggregates like our sand and our salt and things like that. So I think there's a lot of things that we can do that will immediately save some money without being too drastically impacting on services, and that's the key. We learned from the UCC debacle that sometimes, even if you save some money, the services have suffered to a degree that the residents haven't been happy with that. So I hope when we go through this, we understand that saving money is a key objective, but preserving services and keeping local control and the local feel for the residents is equally important. So that's all I have. Thank you. So we'll go back to the resolution, which is item number 9, a resolution issuing a negative declaration regarding seeker for his application zoning map amendment for Blackwood 1 LLC. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
A second.
I'll second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, this is a resolution reaching a negative declaration on the environmental assessment for the consideration of the rezoning of 7.23 acres on the southwest corner of Sacandaga Road and Birch Parkway. And the reasons are bulleted in the resolution. The zoning map amendment will not result in any substantial adverse impact to air quality, water quality, traffic volume, or noise levels, or increase the potential for erosion or flooding. The rezoning and subsequent development of this property will not result in any removal of large quantities of vegetation or fauna. The proposed rezoning does not conflict with the town's pending comprehensive plan, as in fact consistent with the town's development goals for this commercial industrial area of the town. The property under consideration for rezoning does not contain any notable agricultural, open space, or recreational resources. Similarly, the development of this property does not impact any known important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources, and neighborhood character will not be compromised as a result of this action.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, please record vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Pittavani?
Yes.
Councilman Henry?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Capson?
Yes, resolution passes. Next resolution, resolution 10, establishing a standard workday for the New York State retirement system for elected officials. Do I have a motion?
So,
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded for discussion. This resolution, if you all recall, when you're elected, if you wish to join the New York State retirement system, we have to track your time over a 3-month period as required by the retirement system. So the law requires the municipality establish a standard workday for the purpose of reporting time for the members of the state system, and it requires that the workday for elected and appointed officials be fixed at not less than 6 hours per day. We do have an elected who is elected to join the system late, but judgment failed, so this would be setting her standard workday. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Pittavani?
Yes.
Councilman Henry?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Capson?
Yes, resolution passes. Next resolution is the add-on resolution, so the add-on resolution 1. And this is a resolution that would call for a public hearing related to the potential planned use development at 209 to 211 Second Avenue Road. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
A second.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, this is a resolution setting a public hearing. Let's see, I believe the date is May 17th at 7 p.m. here in this room. And it concerns the same project that we just did the negative declaration for. And this is specifically relating to an amendment to the zoning map as well as our zoning text. And the town council has drafted a proposed local law that will provide the parameters for this PUD, should it be approved, parameters relating to establishment of the district, the boundaries, the development, land uses within it, various construction regulations, submissions of plans to the Planning and Zoning Commission for site plan review, that type of thing.
Any questions or comments on the board? If not, I know the developers are here, and I don't know if you had any unusual questions or comments, but if you had any questions or comments on the legislation.
Thank you. We would appreciate the opportunity.
Sure.
Good evening. My name is Mary Beth Slevin. I'm here on behalf of Blackbird One. And I want to say initially, I want to thank the town attorney for the work in putting this legislation together. I know it was done in a fairly short period of time, and it's no insignificant effort to get this done, so appreciate that. There were just a couple of minor things. I noted in the site plan that was referenced in the local law, it had a date of October, and the most recent revision that the board would be considering would be the same date as the application, February, I believe it's 27th, thank you. And we had actually a question. We noticed that in some of the uses that were proposed to be permitted under the PUD, there were exclusions from the uses that would ordinarily be allowed in the general business. And we just would appreciate any input that you could provide us to understand the rationale for that, so that we could perhaps better respond to it.
I can start that off at least. I think you're referring to tobacco and gas and...
That's correct.
Yeah. So we've been approached, actually all the towns have, I know in the county and in Saratoga County, about trying to limit tobacco sales in particular around the schools. And so our reaction to that was, well, we're in the middle of the comprehensive plan review, and that's something we take into consideration and maybe change some zoning after the comprehensive plan is adopted, which we're very, very close to doing. But I think it appears that the appetite of the board is to concur with that, is to limit tobacco sales and marketing around the schools in the town of Glendale. And it's further supported by the district. The superintendent has a very strong belief supporting this. The school board has a pretty strong belief supporting this. And so I think our reaction is to the concerns of the community on limiting tobacco sales and marketing around schools. The gasoline is not so much a community issue as I think it's just a probably more of a board concern, I would say, than what we're hearing from the community. Just not a use that we'd like to see build up around there as, turn into gasoline alley type of thing. We saw that mistake here in town center. It took us years, arguably we're still dealing with it, with too many gas stations in one place. And that's just, I think, a concern with the boards, I would say.
And I appreciate that. We would ask the board to consider possibly allowing tertiary use as part of the uses, because otherwise it's a very significant limitation on the potential users. It would eliminate pharmacies, it would eliminate many types of grocery stores, even though it's a small footprint, it's still possible. So, we understand that this is something that's the board is just considering, and there'll certainly be further discussion before there's a final determination. But we would ask that there be some additional thought given to an absolute prohibition. The policy is understood, and certainly the overriding concern is understood. It's just that we've also asked the board to be considerate of the fact that the property has to be viable, and we'd like to make sure that it isn't limited in a way that will ultimately be detrimental to the project and to the town. So then that goes to really all the exclusions. So we understand that the developer understands that there are certainly policy issues that need to be considered with respect to tobacco use. With respect to the gasoline use, those are the kinds of things that can be addressed through impact analysis and through other types of site development. And we would hope, again, that there be an open mind to taking a look at those possibilities.
And I think there is an open mind. I mean, I know we all have a lot of discussion here that we haven't had an opportunity to really do yet. And I think the public hearing is going to play a big role in the decision if the community comes out, pretty strong against something like the tobacco sales, even as a secondary use or non-principal use. I don't know. And I think we have to look at the marketing of the product. One of the things is that we know that we believe that they market these products externally. As the kids pass on the school bus, they get hit with these messages, in the windows and on the boards. So I think there's other considerations that there's a lot we have to talk about. But I think starting with this and then hearing from the public, having the board talk about it at the next work session, I think there's a lot of room to discuss.
And that's all we're asking for,
Okay.
is to have that open discussion and a dialogue on it. So again, we appreciate your time, and I look forward to further review.
Thank you. Anything to add, questions, comments? So we'll be putting this, resume on the May 10th work session, and I'm sure we'll get a busy public hearing on May 17th.
Well, I just asked then if there, in preparation for the discussion, I would like to hear, some, from the applicant, some ideas for this tertiary use. I understand what the word means. I'd like to hear how that's executed. What does that mean? So I'm open to hearing some ideas that you have. In light of the policy concerns we have, what are your ideas for how that can be executed and we can still maintain this policy?
Should we attend that meeting on the 10th?
I would recommend it, certainly.
That's an evening meeting?
That's it, yeah, 7 o'clock is this room.
And it's more informal, but I'd like to have that discussion.
Thank you.
An example of that, Stewart sells more gas than cigarettes, so the gas would be the primary, for coffee maybe. Or a pharmacy, I think you mentioned the pharmacy, something like that. But yeah, there's plenty of opportunity for discussion. So any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please report the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Pipavani?
Yes.
Councilman Ball?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next item is new business, and I'll start on my left with Councilman Kenna.
No new business?
Councilwoman Wozzachowski.
Mr. Supervisor, I have 2 items for the board to consider. Number 1 would be in connection with the president that spoke that lives at 7 Sheffield. Could we possibly ask, and this is a little bit separate than the zoning change, but kind of in conjunction, could we ask the Traffic Safety Board to possibly do another traffic study on Sheffield Road to check the speed, the traffic counts, time of day, et cetera, and also to reevaluate the placement of children at play signs in anticipation of a possible zone change, but also separate from it if there was a concern from a resident. I know we've done that in the past. The second item I have is more of a for your information. There is a bill in the Assembly carried by Assemblyman Steck, also a bill in the Senate, you'll be happy to hear, that would allow counties and towns to share in purchasing insurance. Right now, it's my understanding in both houses, it is in the insurance committee for review, but it is worth reaching out to legislators to let them know that we would be in support of that.
Thank you. I know the history of that bill is that it's failed every year. It's been good for a lot, but I'm hoping to get some momentum this time. It'd be nice. I think the insurance industry has a grasp on leave that alone. Councilman Martin.
Nothing.
Councilman Tripoli.
No new business.
The only thing I forgot to mention real quick, first of all, thank you again, Mike Back and Mary Beth's comments for getting this to us very quickly. So thank you.
Yes, thanks. Appreciate it.
And secondly, I just want to mention again and thank Jason for his efforts on the new telephone system that has been implemented, and I believe all the bugs worked out now. It is really a fantastic system. It was a great upgrade, and it's helped us be more efficient. Some of the features it has is that we can, I could wring your neck for this one, but the phone call from my desk now goes to my cell phone, and all messages go to my email, so I cannot escape anywhere at any time. But everybody has that feature in the town so that we're not missing a call. One of the big ones two big ones for the residents is a much more simplified menu when you call. Used to be you waited 20 minutes to find what department you wanted as you listened to this long message. Now there's like 7 options. Simplified, quicker response to get to your department. But don't use the old extensions. There's new extensions, so listen to the menu at least once. And the other big one is now we have live people picking up the phone. We've never had that before. We're able to now route the calls. If you're not getting a person, you can route to a person by pressing the 0 and it will go to one of the support staff. So those are 2 big enhancements, I think, for the residents, and people have been very happy with that. So I want to thank you. That was a big undertaking as well, Jason. With that, I have nothing else, so I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll move that.
Second?
I will second that.
Moved in second, all in favor?
Aye.